what do you guys drinking?
We gotta have
episode 13.
Yeah, we gotta have
bro, I got you last time. Episode 13.
I don't know if that's
Driveline Baseball Research and Drinks podcast. Sunday, April 19th.
Okay, try one more time. Let's do one more time.
Episode 11. I'm Alex Caravan, co-swag manager of baseball analytics, here for Driveline Baseball Research and Drinks podcast. Episode 11, Sunday, April 19th, 2020, with my co-hosts that will now introduce themselves. Take it away, Brady.
Okay, I think you got all the information in there somewhere. That's good. Anthony Brady, biomechanist, Driveline R&D.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking
Look at your
today
face is twitched out.
the Sky Kraken from Fremont. Caravan is also
you guys are both drinking that?
Yeah.
What's up, baby? You jealous?
Real original, Caravan. Real original.
I'm Kyle Lindley, R&D engineer, Driveline. I'm drinking a Corona with lime. Shout out Corona. Feel bad. They're getting a bad rep these days. So,
I mean, you don't even have the courage to show the logo on screen, dude. You put it in a.
Dang.
That thing's for tea, my man.
Dang, man.
Shout out mom and dad. As a sweet Christmas present, a little hydro flask for the beer bottle. For these long podcasts when my beers get warm.
Sky Kraken's so good. Honestly, shout out Joe. He's the one that showed me Sky Kraken.
Really?
Joe knows his beer.
Also, every time I've ever been to Joe's place, he's only ever had Sky Kraken.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, like the barbecue? Yeah, both barbecues.
All times I've ever been to his place. It's no complaints.
Been to his new place?
I think Sky Kraken's more drinkable than the Lush, but I like the Lush better.
Ooh, Lush is also pretty fire. Isn't that what we get at
Matador?
Yeah, Sky Kraken's just like a little smoother, I think.
Yeah.
Not as hoppy.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
What you guys got this week?
What do we have last week, bro? We're trying to look back, dog.
Yeah.
We don't look forward. We look backwards.
Yeah, man. Very progressive.
Yeah.
Last week was week 19 in quarantine. Last week was honestly, I think, my most productive week in quarantine. I feel like it was a good work from home week. We were crushing like back to back 2 a.m. nights.
Yeah.
Like
and I was posting in elite or like exclusive base camp projects on Campfire at 3 a.m.
It's pretty ruthless schedule. Like looking back on it, because it was like work 10 to 5-ish, workout, and then post workout start working again at 9 and go to like 2 a.m. kind of thing. Yeah, we did that like every day though.
Yeah,
pretty solid though.
Yeah,
you were so good.
Oh no, I was gonna say we had a finished product at the end of the week to kind of start marketing out there. One that we've talked about a little bit, but
yeah, we threw that.
Our swing profiles, previously called Blast Report.
Yep.
But now swing profiles, we got that up and running.
A lot of meetings, a lot of conversations. Oh, yeah. Swing profile being about like a lot of them, but yeah, you want to get into that? Let's get straight into swing profile reports.
Well, let's hear what Lindley's got for us first.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
I was
forget about Lindley, bro.
Okay, back to the reports.
Back to the important stuff. Not Lindley. Go ahead.
I spent a bunch of my time putting together the data that just got finished processing for the Rapsodo study.
Let's go.
And
dropped a Rapsodo study, bro. Yeah. Dropped a byline.
I mean, talked about it last week, but if you haven't heard that episode, it's a study looking at spin characteristics of a fastball and certain kinematic and kinetic parameters from our lab. So that's
biomechanics of spin rate.
Yeah, those results will be really interesting. And then actually just yesterday I got me a login for the Foundations of Pitching certification. So
dude, are you gonna get certified?
Yeah, I'm gonna get
Floor trainer Kyle
certified. Yeah,
that's
right.
Dang, man.
That's right. I think it'll be
for all the athletes that are training on the floor.
I think it'll be good to I think I understand a lot of it and I know a lot of it, but it'll be good to hear it from the trainer perspective.
Have you ever read HCKC?
I haven't, not all the way through. I've read parts of it, but
dude, you can probably get a head start on it, or like a little bit of a cheat sheet. You can just listen to Matt Daniels' YouTube videos.
Oh yeah,
why he wrote HCKC.
Yeah,
Got out Matty D getting on the YouTube gang.
Matty D, bold choice, going just couch. Just couch.
I like it.
In this capture.
Kind of nice. We could do that. You could do
very
that.
Unique,
you could do that for your filming on the
filming.
next one, Caravan. Just film it on the couch.
Yeah.
It's like casual, a little more relaxed, a little more inviting.
You're saying like the two of us on the couch, like kind of like posted like this?
I think like Lucas Still and the guys from Optimum do that. I've seen a couple of their clips. Podcast. It's pretty dope. They have the like lapel mics though. That's the move for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got a pretty decent setup for quarantine.
And not being able to do anything in person.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's hear about those blast reports. Sorry. Swing profiles.
What blast reports? What's that? Oh, swing profile report.
Kind of I mean, I wouldn't say a bold call, but yeah, we definitely have to name them earlier on in the process because, I mean, yeah, we're like 90% of our company would probably call it a blast report now if we went in like, what did we release this weekend? A blast report, right? Like, well, yeah, but no. Anyways, it's kind of like I've talked about it a little bit on Twitter, and I just put out a blog with Tanner Stokey on it on Thursday night, I think. But essentially, it's pretty cool. I think it's exciting because we're leveraging swing data for expected batted ball metrics. Yep. So in my mind, it's something that's like definitely not publicly available out there. And I don't know like where it is available, right? Like that kind of those stats based off just swing numbers. But I like did quite a bit of validation and really went to like the statistical errors of the models and everything in the blog. So if you're curious about that, go ahead and read that. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be a nice report that kind of sets us up for the analytics engines and tools that we've talked about for a couple of weeks now. Yep. And I mean, between us in person, like for months, and we have like a lot more coming down the line. But the swing profile was like a fairly easy one to make. And now we were like, a lot of it will be like setting up similar formats for different technologies. Yep. Kind of going through that. But and also like it's like night and day easier to kind of get it off the ground than it was for pitch charts like 2 months ago. Well, partially because you can actually use it when you're not playing college baseball games. But no, I mean, even before that, like that was unlucky in terms of when it got released. But before that, we didn't really have any sort of precedent for releasing a software tool, So I was like, at least on my end, I was trying to do I was developing a product, trying to manage the product, trying to market a product, and like stay on top of all the administrative stuff too. Like I was at one point, it's almost like I was cold emailing potential customers, doing customer support for it, all that stuff.
And this time you got more help.
Yeah, I mean,
marketing and like customer relations part.
Yeah. I think as a company we had more like a little bit more experience doing that and like knowing how to apply web tools, and we have a different idea this time. We're kind of gauging interest and providing value to people by initially giving them the free report. And also like Brady's been huge by just like, kind of bridging the gap between me and other departments and like helping CR and marketing and everyone like stay on top of it and stay connected. Yeah. So it's just been so much easier for me than it was last time.
In the swing profile, does that include the exit velocity and launch angle like predictions that you were talking about a couple of weeks ago? Is that what this is like mostly about?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is so much just like, you got your basic descriptive blast metrics, and then the like a couple basically I see the main value coming with like three essential components of it. One, you actually generate expected batted ball metrics like peak EV and launch angle at peak EV. And peak EV I use to mean like the average velocity of the top eighth hardest hit balls. So like new metrics essentially that aren't anywhere else and that apply to a hitter's resume because we're talking about actual outcome-based data. Two, we actually give them distributions of their numbers in relation to our in-gym numbers for affiliate, indie, college, high school, both in like tabular data, density distributions, all that stuff. And we have actually just over 405,000 405,000 blast swings in the last year. So we think like our database of blast is like something really valuable, especially to the like, smaller consumer. And the third big thing is, our hitting text notes and drill scores, where our like hitting trainers, give weighted drill scores based on someone falling into certain slots in their blast metrics and essentially returning them almost like a bare bones programming, programming like outline, because they can prioritize like which drill scores seem more important, like what sort of like text notes they would get from in-person interactions with trainers. So I think like the kind of triple prong of value, getting a call on the podcast doesn't matter, bro. This stuff's more important. Hold on, I get to now. But anyways, yeah, I think I'm really excited about it. I'm really curious to see what kind of feedback we get from the free reports.
Yeah,
that's cool. Because typically, if you had blast, you get very minimal like prescriptive information, right? Like it's
zero. I mean, at least off their website. I don't know if they have like they might have blogs out there saying like
that's just the same thing with like most tech out there.
Yeah,
that's also where we like kind of see ourselves and the purpose and what we're doing with those things, and then eventually integrating them and just trying to like make that process way easier for the user to really get like more value out of the tech, and to get even more value. We made them free to the public for now, for a limited time and a limited number, I should say.
I think that was a super cool idea. You guys are doing 50, right? I think the first 50 imports.
First 50 CSVs. At the time of this podcast, Sunday around 5:00, we're at, I believe, 29.
30, 35. 29.
Yeah, there's like a couple duplicates, and also anyone in there who's like already in online training, I'm not going to count those. I actually need to talk to CR tomorrow. And there was that someone has like 2 uploads. We won't include them as well. They'll only count as.
Didn't say it's from both their parents.
Yeah.
So we were trying to gauge which parent loves the kid more.
Yeah.
Like, provide a better
at the time of the upload.
Yeah. And we will release that info publicly. We will tweet out from the corporate account. X's mom loves him more than his dad does.
Yeah. So I think there's only about, maybe a little over 20 left, but I'd be pretty amazed if by the time this podcast comes out tomorrow, Monday at noon, if we already haven't had 50. Who knows? Maybe next week we'll do another 50. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, let's do some podcast giveaways.
I don't know. I mean, hey, maybe keep your eyes peeled. If someone wants to reach out, says, hey, I heard on the podcast, might be able to get you in there. So keep your ears open for that. But I'm like really, really fired up about the free report idea. Obviously a lot of, goodwill. Also, it's really nothing. It's like not really much stuff on our end. And we can probably, we'll probably send out emails later asking people for feedback on the reports. So make them better. Yeah,
exactly. It's like I see it as a ready-made beta testing kind of, we're providing people value right off the bat. So we're like, worst comes to worst, at least we help them out with some cool reports, even if it never becomes anything more than this. But our idea is like, we're trying to see how well we can provide value. So we will provide value. They don't have to buy in. They don't have to like do anything. Just send in their data. They get something back. And then like, we'll go from there and see what we need to do to, keep building that stuff out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty good. How much do you think this provides more value on the online side than the in-gym side? Just because it like can also like give the trainers good feedback, the online trainers, about what their like athletes or how their swing is or how it's improving.
Definitely on the remote side, especially just right now because there's no in-gym side. But I also think long term too. Just on the remote side. I mean, you can just like, there's so much value you can get just from like being next to the athlete, and like we can still run the report and use it in gym. But I think it'll just give like remote trainers such better insight into like what's actually going on, as opposed to just like them scraping blast metrics from afar and like watching video.
Yeah.
I also think that that's a cool model and something that we can kind of try to recreate on the Modus side once we get enough samples, like and our targeted like drills and everything, get a good enough normative database. Then maybe we can build something similar so that a guy could use Modus remote as a remote trainee, and we can like take all that data and provide some type of prescriptive report for him.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty sweet too.
Once you debug BH functions.
Yeah. Get all those dialed.
I finally copied it into I was looking at it on the MacBook because it's all in Xcode, so finally copied it onto my other computer so I don't have to go back and forth. So hopefully that makes it a little easier.
Yeah. Speaking of sensors, that was my big work last week. Outside of like the blast report. Oh fuck. Edit that out. Swing profile report. Definitely a swing profile report, not blast report. Besides working on the swing profile report with like meeting with CR and them and talking with everyone else, blast K-Vest validation was work last week. Honestly, not even much work on the specific validation. Mostly just like cleaning up the pipeline that worked, but definitely wasn't like finalized, you know? What's that? Chrissy's mentioned it a bunch to me. It's like inventor's dilemma or creator's dilemma. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Like you start out and then once you get to like an end product,
you're like,
you realize you could have done it way better, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like creator's dilemma or something.
I haven't heard it like specific term, but I mean that's definitely a thing.
Coder's dilemma. I'm not sure, but I feel that so much when like writing any type of code, and especially like on the pipeline stuff. Like, I mean, I posted a thing a couple months ago, like, "Hey, here's the finalized pipeline at work," and just like looking through it was like, "Oh man, there is so much better ways to do all this." So I like went through, cleaned it all out. It went from like 400 plus commands to it's like 212 now, you know? There's just like so much. I'm going to
stop you just for a second. For those who are not familiar, it's a pipeline in Visual 3D, which is the software that we use to make like kinematic and kinetic calculations. So
so we have all this recorded data. We mentioned it before. We have 5 times 30,
150 baby.
150 paired swings of motion capture, blast, and K-Vest data for validation against motion capture, and then we have a pipeline to process pitching data, but we don't have a pipeline to process hitting data because it's like, you know, slightly different. You want to calculate things differently. Also, blast and K-Vest calculate some things differently because they're IMUs. So have to we're going to validate what they're measuring. We have to like measure some metrics differently. So a lot of that was trying to take the pitching pipeline and just copy pasting it onto the hitting pipeline, and then making, you know, tweaks here and there, like how would you calculate vertical bat angle, connection, those kind of things to validate it. And man, there was so much that was just like sloppily written by me, and also like I mentioned this to Caravan at some point last week while I was like working on it, how I'm also going through and like documenting everything, which is another thing that is like really important that I didn't do during the process. But like documentation, it sucks and it takes like a ton of time, ton of work, but it also kind of like forces you to evaluate your own work, you know? Like you can't ignore stuff while you're documenting it, unless you're totally fine with documenting and writing down like, this isn't right. You know, like when you're trying to describe what something does or like document it, it forces you to look at it and just be like, is this the best way to do it? You know? And
kind of like what I did.
That happened so many times while like cleaning it out.
Kind of like what I did on the code walkthrough.
Yeah. So you did that live.
Making live edits.
Still pretty fire.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, no, that happened. That happened so many times throughout, and like half the battle was Lindley, when I was talking to you, just like establishing some standards, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something that has to happen on the pitching pipeline side as well. Hopefully at some point. So
honestly, going forward, that needs to happen like before, like in the like that needs to be like stage one of a project. You know, that's one thing that I think that York is really really good at, and is a really good like yin to our yang Caravan, like on that side of thing. Like York is he's a stickler, but we definitely need it because we can get really lazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think the two of us are that bad. I'm saying like
I think like I'm kind of, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so coding and experience in general.
Yeah.
Good for me.
Oh yeah. I mean, it even depends. I mean, you go ham documenting like meetings. Like we'll be in meetings and I'll be like, I like don't even. I'm like about to take notes and I hear you like typing away. I'm like, Brady's got it.
Be meticulous documenter, but not like I wasn't when I did the pipeline. And like, I think standards are super important. Definitely going forward, like
standards
from stage one.
You mean like standards with romantic partners? You're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Be clear on that. Communication, all that. No, just like standardizing, like how you're kind of gonna go about things. Like on the pipeline side, a lot of it's just like variable names, you know? Like in coding, it's just like, it could be variable names too, like camel case.
Let's go.
Camel case and underscore.
Thoughts
underscore format for the win.
I mean, the pipeline is pretty ruthless. It's all caps and underscores.
Yeah. It's probably pretty easy to understand though. Like if you're reading the variable name.
It's also way easy when you're typing it out because I leave caps lock on. I never have to, shift type anything. But yeah, so got that all cleaned, organized, documented. There's one thing on there that is like tripping up somehow, and it's like the downswing event metric calculation. It's like it's mistagging frequently, so I gotta sort that out, and then we'll have some data by the end of the night for validation to have a better idea.
How hard is it gonna be to change the blast one to DK?
It'll be ready. I think it'll run right away. Honestly,
really,
as long as the names of the markers are good, it should run right away. And honestly, it might be worth it because what we should do I think we should do the code walkthrough on Tuesday. Does that work, Lindley?
Yeah. Oh, you guys are doing a Visual 3D code walkthrough?
Yeah, like a biomech or it's not even code walkthrough, a pipeline walkthrough. That'd be chill. We should do that. And honestly, I think you could run it even faster by just like getting rid of half the stuff in the CMO and like half of the pipeline, because that's what takes the most time when the pipeline processes is that recalc pipeline for the model-based metrics. And so having those cleaned out should help a bunch. But yeah, those should be ready to go right away. Like I wouldn't be surprised if by next weekend we have like data ready for analysis for DK, Blast, and KVest. So,
how much are we going to have to change because there's no kinematic data there's no human kinematic data from in the Diamond Kinetics validation because it's just the bat and the T.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It should work right away because it's basically just like all of the blast section of the pipeline is just copy pasted. Obviously, though, there's going to be no connection like validation or measurement, but DK doesn't even report anything like that. It doesn't even report vertical bat angle. They're going to be fine there. That's what I'm saying, too. We could just delete like 70, 80% of the pipeline, and I don't even think you need to make a right-left conditional pipeline because it's all going to be signal magnitude stuff. So,
nice.
Yeah.
And you're already processing the KVest and blast validation data, or just getting the pipeline ready?
I processed through like 3 guys. I was starting the processing this morning actually, but downswing was meshing up. Well, I started the processing, found like 4 errors in the pipeline that I then solved, and then it's basically good. But for some reason, downswing as like the event metric, like detection of downswing, is a little weird. I think I need to like set the threshold a little higher, it's recording the event way too early, like almost across the board.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if there's like too much hand movement early on, so I just need to set it to like keep the threshold the same, but then set like the upper threshold greater, so that it finds like that peak prior. But
your pupils are looking big. I'm putting on my own blue light filtering glasses on.
Other than that, we should be good.
Heck yeah.
Dude, he's definitely make your pupils look bigger, right?
Yo,
Lindley, you be the judge. Brady, you take them.
For
just
those
raise them a
listening
little
right
bit.
now, Caravan just put on his blue light filtering glasses, which
Just
are
raise them a little bit.
yellow
Raise yours a little
tinted
bit on 3.
and cheetah print, and
All right,
we're
1,
comparing pupil size.
2, 3.
You can't see either of you guys' pupils.
And now we're comparing pupil size between.
I mean, I'm tripping right now, so my pupils should be huge.
Caravan's glasses are really good. What else? Is there? You guys got any other big updates?
Yeah, I was gonna mention D1Baseball.
I mean, I was gonna mention how. I mean, for all your listeners out there, clear your schedules on Tuesday and make sure you wish Alex Caravan a happy 38th birthday.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And
he's turning 27. He's turning 27.
Yeah, and my brother turning 20 the day before.
Yes, tomorrow.
He's turning 20.
April 20th,
Mm-hmm.
also known as.
How old did you think it was?
I thought he was at least 21.
Nah, homie is young, dude. Also, he just went to sleep. He just went to sleep.
What?
Brady, before you came up, he said he came up and talked to me. I think he finally like filed his unemployment, and he said he'd been up all night.
Dude, when I was talking to him on Friday night, it was really late that night, and I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I gotta work tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, you sure you don't want to stay up? And I was like, nah. He's like, crap, I'm screwed. I was up till 10 a.m. last night. I was like, that's not even being up anymore. Like, what?
Dude, he went to bed at 4 p.m. today.
Dude, oh my gosh. He's like rollovered his sleeping schedule.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow. Okay, sorry to get off topic, but I mean, it is important. All you listeners out there, on Tuesday, make sure, wish Alex Caravan a happy birthday. 27?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
All for my birthday is a couple more blast CSV sent in for
Yeah,
the swing
April
profile.
21st.
So if you can make that.
2020. What you got? You got any big plans? What are our plans? I mean, what are we gonna do?
Probably just run back to drama you saw on Friday night.
Let's go. Yeah, and process some data. We'll have a full recap of the Caravan's birthday party next.
Yeah, we can
podcast.
splice some footage from it and throw it on our Patreon episode.
Yep, that's definitely Patreon. Definitely Patreon worthy.
I was just about to ask. You should do something on Zoom, and I was gonna ask if I'm invited.
Oh yeah, no. Actually, well, let's see if anybody listens to this before Tuesday's Zoom meeting. But yeah, Gretchen DM'd me saying, should we like do a morning
Gretchen's
shotgun or
too.
something? Yeah. Should we do a morning shotgun? I proposed we do a morning shotgun and polar plunge, like run into Alki Beach. Except she's now in California. I might still do it. What do you think?
I'm down. I'm down to rip that with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say
you're invited though. Just drive to like 52nd and just run into the water.
Be in the car. Yeah.
I'm down. I'm very down. I will say that I think I got like a pretty killer gift. I'm not gonna lie. It won't be here until the 22nd. But I'm pretty excited about it. You'll be able to show it on the next podcast and an idea from the fans. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it.
Is it a coffee mug with someone's face on it?
No. It is very cool.
All right. Well, now it's gonna be hard for me to focus the rest of the episode. But I
actually might send a picture of it to Lindley, just to get his take on it.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
It's
D1Baseball.
Oh yeah. So I think we've tweeted about it and stuff, but Tosh at Driveline Tosh on Twitter got us a pretty snazzy D1Baseball deal where we're in charge of a few things. One of them being player profiles. So we're gonna be releasing, like, I think I actually don't really know without pulling the contract details right now, but we're releasing like 7-8 player profiles for the year. And even though, obviously college baseball isn't going on right now, D1 Baseball is still pumping out content. And I mean, there's a couple, I don't want to go into it right now because specifically a player profile is coming out, I think, on Monday. But
Nice.
I was gonna say I don't want to go into all the other details, but player profile wise, A, it was a lot of fun. B, it took quite a bit of work to like get the whole workflow and documentation going. And I mean, we're super excited about it because I think it'll be a like really unique look in college baseball and analytics that most people don't have out there. From RE 288 stats for college baseball, which is like the run expected value in the 288 possible base count out situations. Like the count, the 12 options of the count times the 24 combinations of like base, empty, man on first, man on second, man on third, first and third, second, third, bases loaded, and the 3 outs. We have like xFIP for pitchers. We have spin efficiency for pitchers that are only on TrackMan. It's gonna be really, really cool, I think.
That's dope.
But I thought it'd be even like worth it to kind of pull back to current a little bit and take you guys through like a quick, like what I think the first time we did it on 2 Florida guys, Jack Leftwich and Tommy Mace. And like coming up, we'll have we already have like the next assignment kind of.
Yeah.
So we already have, the first one, we probably, spent quite a bit of time getting the workflow figured out, like I said, because it's mostly, or it's like basically
it's the whole swag analytics group, right?
Yeah. It's our burgeoning analytics wing. So it's me and Dana Coyne as the co-managers, and David Besky and Mike Tampolini helping us out. And we have a huge database now, and we have a lot of like tools that are disposal, including like some that are on Edge, a bunch of internal tools, stuff like that. So
just like stuff that we've developed over the last years because we needed them for whatever reason.
Yeah. So like essentially the workflow that we kind of have right now going forward, and maybe this will change as well. But the first thing we do is we just like kind of like just research, browse the internet for as many scouting reports as possible, because we don't want to, regardless of if we disagree with scouts or not disagree with scouts, we want to like be aware of what we're saying.
Yeah.
If a bunch of scouts are calling a changeup trash and for whatever reason our like metrics think it's not bad, we want to make sure. We can't this is like a well-read site. It's gonna be a lot of publicity.
Right.
We can't like put out some content that disagrees with every single scouting report unless we feel absolutely sure of what we say. So we just do our due diligence, research everything, get a bunch of scouting reports saved, browse through it, run someone's arsenal through our own tools, our pitch recommendation tool, pitch charts. We get a bunch of visuals, a bunch of potential adjustments, go through it, make our own hypothesis about the pitch. Okay, I think this is this type of pitch. He has an elite fastball. His curveball could use a little bit of work, whatever. Submit it to the group for approval. We all decide. We're all on board with that, prognosis. Then we have, we assign people that write like the rough draft. That person will write the rough draft, come back to us. Dan and I will edit it, plop in visuals, tidy it up, and then send it over.
Sounds
so that's kind of like
very legit.
Yeah. And I was looking at it now. We have like a probably 7-page document outlining what I just like went over in like much more detail with like links to everything, all the tools we want to use. So it's like I'm really excited going forward to like pump this stuff out, because I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and like it's gonna be like much more different from most college baseball content out there.
Go fire. And that's not taking any time at all, right?
Well, I'm hoping the slope will be negative in terms of hours spent and like number of reports.
The process will go down. Yeah, that's a really that's a good point. Just like that, like, is a situation where I'd be so scared of like imposter syndrome, or like imposter syndrome would get me really bad, just like putting something out and just being so anxious, like that it's like, just going to get smoked by someone who knows more. So like checking your bases and making sure it's actually legit.
Yeah.
Not easy.
I think it's, one thing that helps a ton, and something I had nothing to do with specifically, but when Dan was running the pitching floor, he had that like pitch design assignments out. I don't know if you guys saw those on Basecamp.
Yeah.
He would assign pitching trainers, like a ton of pitching trainers, even people that aren't really the type of people that would necessarily like be writing those reports. Maybe they're like more biomech heavy focused or whatever. Right. He had them like do multiple pitch design reports, and I mean, I assume that made him a lot better at it, like overall editing and seeing different viewpoints,
right.
But also gives us like a really like healthy library of what we should base it off of,
right.
Like what are like if we have no idea what to start writing about, just like look at those and then like okay, I get how they like went about breaking down the arsenal. I will say those are probably a bit more like pitch design heavy than our player profiles because we're gonna tie like more outcome based stuff,
more statistic related things to like how they actually
we're gonna tell the actual story of like how they're actually performing in college, what happened in their junior year, what happened in their sophomore year, stuff like that. But like I think that was like a really good starting point for me. Okay, yeah, because I haven't really written too many player profiles myself, so I had a little bit of that too, Brady, when I first stared. But I don't know, it was a lot. It was surprisingly fun, I thought.
Yeah,
I don't have much background for these player profiles and like who they're doing. So are these just guys that are like about to be eligible for the draft that they're trying to promote, or is it like just random people that they think will be interesting to their audience? Like how do they choose these players, and like where do they get the data?
So far it seems like people that are going to be like decently high draft picks. And like Leftwich and Mace could potentially both be first rounders. And
in an abbreviated draft.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not very knowledgeable about like
how much are you
myself.
Sorry, how much are you pulling on like this year's data?
It depends what they give us. Yeah.
Damn. That's sweet.
So like like the data. I mean, that's one of the trigger things. The data is not always going to be even.
Right.
But we have like a pretty healthy database at this point, and are like pretty satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to augment their whatever data they give you with some that we might have access to, or some like just some from our database to like help like put together the profile?
Probably have to get
you have to talk to me about off air about that, dog.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be tough because you'd have to get like player consent kind of thing. Yeah, I don't even know if you could actually. I don't even know if it's primarily pitching, right? Not really hitting.
It seems like it'd be pitching, but honestly, I'm not totally sure because the parameters of it are pretty loose. I mean, I think like I said, we're talking about the player profiles mostly. We have a couple other contractual things that we are gonna put out there.
Yeah,
I think one of the opportunities we have is to potentially like revolutionize the current college baseball statistical like offerings.
Are we allowed to talk? Are we allowed to talk about any of that? Is that a yes? Is that a no?
I don't know. I think Tosh posted tweeted that stuff out.
I'm talking about like the kind of like advanced stuff that Dan's been doing. He posted some stuff in Basecamp. Yeah. Are we allowed to talk about any of that?
Vaguely. I was saying we shouldn't,
because that stuff is sick.
Yeah.
Like Dan was sending me some of that, and like if we can. Maybe, I guess we should probably hold off until it's more like.
What I was telling him is I want to hold off until we start getting a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And so people start seeing our profiles and start like because if we just post everything at the beginning, they don't even have like a basis for if we're like legit or not, kind of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, Driveline has a good name, but we haven't like put out that kind of content.
Yep.
So it's like if so I was saying once we get
we'll just leave it at like we're building something really cool. Yeah. Potentially, maybe.
No, we're definitely building something cool. Potentially, we'll see it though.
Yeah. Might be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like one thing that I was talking to Dan about, which we could maybe touch on, is like how much not having this season sucks.
Yeah.
That, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Such a bummer, man. No college baseball.
Big hit.
And dude, I'm gonna learn quite a lot about college baseball because I've never been like super well read on it and everything.
Yeah.
Literally just doing like I did like the Mace profile mostly. And Tamp and Dan like did a Leftwich one and we like integrated and pushed it all together.
Yeah.
Dude, I learned like more about college baseball in like a one weekend.
Let's say, yeah.
Yeah,
How much different is it from doing a similar thing? If you were to do a similar thing to a minor league or MLB pitcher?
Probably the first thing that jumps out is like I think the stats are going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more variance, like
Okay.
game
Difference
to
in
game,
opponent.
and yeah. There's a ton of stuff like that. Like there's very little like strength of schedule stuff taken in analysis that
Dude,
I think we're doing. Yeah.
Also, just like how that
smaller seasons.
That like schedule is kind of like broken up into parts.
Yeah.
Like preseason. I mean, Nick Gonzalez started out the year 12 homers through 12 games. Like probably hard to push that into regular season. Like going forward. I mean, if you have a padded preseason, it's just tough to expect him to carry that, especially when the season was cut short this year.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one thing I was telling Dan over Zoom right before I started like doing the Mace write up.
Yeah.
I was just like, honestly, right now, I don't even know what handedness Mace is. That's how little I know about it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should also preface by saying like I made that Nick Gonzalez
He's
comment.
a righty though.
Nick Gonzalez is fucking legit, but still 12 homers through the first 12 games of the year. This year was fucking insane. If he would have sustained that
throughout the whole season.
We should get into the journal article. Lindley has lined up.
Get it?
Is there any other updates?
No, that's what I got. Oh, Caravan! While you were talking, I sent the gift to Lindley, and
pretty good, dude.
He says pretty fire.
Pretty fire.
Yeah. Like, feel free to tell him how fire. Feel free to go even further.
You mean Arsenal score?
It's pretty sick.
Almost as sick as this study. So
it's definitely more sick. Definitely way more sick.
So today we're going to be talking about another gaze tracking study. This one is kind of addressing the limited number of studies looking into the preparatory phase of hitting. So like what are hitters looking at before the pitch is actually delivered, whereas a lot of the research into hitting vision, so on and so forth, is centered kind of around ball tracking and ball flight characteristics. So I'm going to share this screen. Nice. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
So I just pulled up for those listening, I just pulled up a PDF of the study. And I kind of just graze through the intro and methods. It basically just talks about some of the limitations of how hitters can't, like theoretically, hitters can't track the ball from the pitcher's hand all the way to the plate. So there's research on that.
And this is from Keto University, looks like. Is that you trying to tell us that you're going on another diet, Lindley?
I don't even know how to say that. Kayo?
Okay, let's not be insensitive.
Okay, let's start with the title and the citation of the study.
Okay. So this is visual search strategies of baseball batters, eye movements during the preparatory phase of batting. This is in Perceptual and Motor Skills, published in 2002.
Okay, 2002. Good to know.
Yeah. So
the older one.
Mm-hmm.
The year I was born.
Is this like would you give this like the status of seminal? Is this a seminal paper?
I'm gonna be real honest with you, dude. I don't exactly know what that means.
Oh, okay.
Caravan,
you got Caravan.
Is that an SAT word?
I think it might be an SAT word. Caravan, would you like to expand?
Seminal, just like really important, like something like that you would
like a pillar.
Other studies around.
Like
it's very referenced in all the research going forward. Like it's a seminal research paper.
Yeah. I think it's pretty widely cited. Sorry, go ahead, Caravan.
It might even provoke convocation, if you know what I mean, Brady.
That was that was just
a
autocorrect.
typo.
Oh yeah,
that
was autocorrect. You try to type convo, and it just autocorrects into convocation.
Nice. Yeah, I actually just finished up writing a blog about this, or that talks about some of the findings in the study. Rob Gray does a really good piece about preparatory phase of batting and a few strategies, and he mentions this, cites this as one of the main sources of evidence.
So
So,
2002 from Kato and Fukuda.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll also in the there will be a link to this in the description, YouTube, and in the audio of this podcast.
Yeah. So just summarize the intro and some like the subjects and whatnot. There's 18 subjects. So one of the purposes of the study was to compare what they call expert hitters and novice hitters. And the novice hitters were just ordinary university students. And there were 9 of those, and there were 9 expert hitters, which were collegiate athletes. So 9 baseball players from that university. They viewed a video of a pitcher that was adjusted. The position of that video was projected in a position similar to what they would be seeing in a game. And then they had a gaze tracking system on their head to track eye movement, and the video facing towards the pitcher, what we call kind of like the world perspective, basically just the perspective of the hitter where they're looking, was recorded with just a regular camcorder.
What does 2002 eye tracking instrument look like?
So it frames at 30 times a second.
Okay.
Or sorry, it samples at 30 times a second.
Very
and it
low
says
frame
that
rate.
it's very low frame rate. It's not the system we use on the outward facing camera samples at 30 times a second, but the eye cameras sample at 200 frames a second.
Okay,
so
yeah.
what we have is a little bit more advanced than this.
Yeah.
But it says claims the system's precision is far less than 0.1 degrees, which is pretty good if that
Far less.
is.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty accurate. So I don't know. They don't cite. They don't have any citations for validation studies or anything. So that's one thing that we should probably take into consideration.
It says the contact-free eye tracking system. It's called Freeview.
Yeah. A company out of Japan. So, basically, how they did it was they broke up the pitching motion into 4 phases. The first phase was from the start of the windup to when the pitcher started lifted their leg to the front lead leg peak.
Uh-huh.
The second phase was from that lead leg peak height to when I believe it was broken up by either some time difference between that and arm release or ball release, or when
Bottom? It almost looks like it's like the depth. It's like the lowest depth they reach when dropping forward.
Yeah.
Does it say?
Phase 3 just says when the pitcher moves his arm before releasing the ball. So it's pretty general. I think. Yeah.
That's such a wild description.
Moving forward. It's got to be when they first start moving forward. I assume.
Yeah, that could be a thing. Like at the most loaded point where they start to bring the ball forward into the throwing deployment. I think that might be the start of phase 3, and then the end of phase 3 and phase 4, which is just a point in time, is basically the release point. So if you're on the screen showing a picture of the phases with examples between each phase, what position the pitcher would be in. Okay. So basically, they looked at gaze position within these phases, and they report on how what they broke up the body into different segments, and they reported on how often the subject's gaze was on that body part, and then compared the two groups. And the main findings were that the expert group and the novice group there was no specific difference in the first 2 phases, so it was pretty random, or it was up to their own individual approach.
Yeah.
But their differences started to present themselves in phase 3 and phase 4. So I'm going to go to phase 3, which is here, and it's a picture of the pitcher with their knee at its highest point, and they compare the expert and the novice group. And you can see they report that the expert group not only had a smaller area where they focused their gaze, they more consistently focused it on the shoulder and the head area of the body, whereas the novice group was a much wider distribution. The gaze velocity was greater than the experts, so they moved around in a wider area and faster during this phase. And that ranged from the pitcher's basically leg or butt area up to where their head is. So that was one of the biggest findings, is that the expert hitters were focusing their vision more in a much smaller area,
not
closer
like
to
a
the
higher
shoulder.
area too.
Yeah, closer to the shoulder and the head.
Interesting.
And then in phase 4, which is just basically the release point, they also found a big difference. Oh, also, I'm going to explain for those viewing this graphic.
This is a wild graphic too.
Yeah,
by the way.
So it's a 3-dimensional plot.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a 3-dimensional plot with an image of the pitcher on 2 of the dimensions. So, and it's a density plot basically. So you can see the distribution of gaze positions on that pitcher, on the projection of that pitcher's body. And you can clearly see that the distribution is just
more filled out on.
Yeah,
that is a really cool plot.
All right, now for phase 4, it does something similar, but it only does it in 2 dimensions. Right. And it has the gaze position plotted on the pitcher, and it has a confidence ellipse basically. So it takes the standard deviation of those gaze positions of the expert group and the gaze positions of the novice group, and shows that the gaze positions of the expert group was much more was closer together. So they were more consistently focusing on an area closer to the elbow, and the novice group was not moving their gaze as far towards the hand or up the arm, and it was a wider distribution as well. So they took away from that hitters focus their eyes more on the pitcher's elbow and don't move it around as much, whereas novice hitters are more inconsistent where they're looking.
Interesting.
Wait, sorry, scroll back up real quick. Okay. That picture's so grainy. I thought the novice group, the bicep on the novice group for a second was like a white circle, and I was like, you see that? I was wondering why they had one white circle in there.
Yeah, no.
You know if this is sorry, go ahead.
Not super high resolution photos or anything, but I think this is just this is the picture from the video that they're showing to the hitters in the experiment.
Was it the same video every time? Also, how many times did they view it? Just once?
It was 10 different pitches, which is wild in and of itself. I'm not sure how many times they saw each one. They viewed a series of 10 types of pitches. It doesn't say how many.
So maybe just each one
pitch
once.
they viewed.
I also had a question on the other graphic. Scroll down a little bit to read a caption. I was going to ask if either of you guys knew if this is still a standard definition in the industry, but it says, you see where it says note, fixation is defined as a state in which the velocity of eye movement is kept below 5 degrees per second for longer than 165 milliseconds. So 5 video frames. Is that still a how would you go about defining that, Lindley? Because you probably defined something similar for our internal gaze tracking, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I looked into this a little bit, and doesn't seem to be a standard for all these studies. It seemed, so this one looks at a threshold of gaze velocity, so how fast they're changing their gaze position, and a time frame that it has to be still enough for. But some other studies have used an area. So as long as the gaze position didn't change more than, say, a degree or 3 degrees for more than 100 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds, then that would be considered a fixation. So you can, in the software that we use, you can choose those parameters. You can say my visual angle threshold is this and my time threshold is this. But there's no standard. In one of the review papers, I looked at it to try to figure that out. Just said that a fixation is when gaze position is within a certain area for over 1 to 300 milliseconds or something like that. So it's not super well defined.
Oh, okay.
Could
you go over could you go over what were the like demographic differences between novice and expert?
Just regular students versus people on the university team.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at that too. That was like the first thing I was like reading on the page.
Yeah.
That is one of the bigger limitations to the study, because the novice hitters are not even. I mean, I guess it depends on how you define novice hitters, but for these studies,
you could almost argue that the university hitters are novice hitters.
Yeah, you bring in it might be a better comparison to bring in like college kids versus like pros.
Yeah, or like college versus high school,
or even
college versus club ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. So, that's definitely one of the bigger limitations. They also don't report on the transition between these phases. So what we've seen in a lot of our data in-house is that guys do look at the upper body of the pitcher in like the preparatory phase and before when they're raising their knee and when they're starting their wind up, and then they make a very quick saccadic shift towards the ball release sometime around foot plant right before the pitcher starts to deploy his arm.
You want to find saccadic real quick?
Yeah, so saccade is just basically a fast shift in eye position from one point to another. I think it's defined. There's a range of saccadic or gaze position velocities that a saccade is defined over. But I think a lot of it's just based on the characteristics of a clear start point, a clear end point, and then a quick movement between those two. But they actually use their data to suggest that that hitters don't do that, but they don't report on those transition between phases. So they report that there's a difference in gaze position between phase 3 and phase 4. Phase 3, they're looking at the pitcher's front shoulder or head area, and phase 4, they are looking at the pitcher's closer to the pitcher's elbow. And they use that to support the use of a visual pivot point, which means that they're not, which they say basically means they don't move their focus very much. It's like a very still spot, and they use their periphery, which is another thing that you can't necessarily infer from this, because you can't.
Right.
You're only measuring where the pupils are at. You can't really make a conclusion or interpret those results to understand how they're using their periphery. Yep. So what I talk about this in the blog a little bit. I think it's still possible that saccade is still used. And then one of the other contentions is that this study says the experts look at the pitcher's elbow rather than the ball at release point or the hand at release point. And some other studies, there's one other study they actually cite that says expert hitters focus on the release point. And then that's also what we're seeing in gym with our limited data set of gaze tracking data. So
okay.
You know what I was looking at right now? I was looking at the like the references, and the oldest one by far is the Hubbard piece from 1954. I'm looking it up right now. Have you looked at that? Because that is such an old piece to be like. And is that a seminal piece? Because you know what I mean. That thing's like 30 years away from its closest nearest neighbor.
I'm pretty sure. The Hubbard and the Abernathy papers are like really seminal in vision, right?
And Hubbard, even Hubbard is the piece of research that supports. I'm pretty sure that hitters look at the ball at ball release rather than the elbow. So they kind of refute those.
Right, but that Hubbard piece was also in 1954. Images.
It seems like his biggest takeaway, I'm looking it up right now, it seems like the biggest takeaway from the 54 Hubbard piece is the idea that tracking movements stop when the ball's like gets closer to plate.
Yeah.
They say 8 to 15 feet away, which I think is still like something that gets upheld in modern day studies. So that's Yo, when's your gaze blog ready to come out?
It's ready now. I just made the final edit today. I don't know when it's going to go out.
It got pushed back because of the swing profile blog.
both the last two blogs I've written, this one and Sequencer, I pushed them out within 24 hours of writing them.
Jeez.
with
That's
one
crazy.
I thought the research article review blog was a quick turnaround.
No, I mean, dude, when you said, you know, like Thursday, remember, I think you walked by me as I was writing the swing profile blog. I wrote half of that on Thursday.
Jeez.
And then published it on Friday. Or no, I wrote half of that on Wednesday, published it on Thursday.
Thursday night, yeah. Thursday at 6.
Yeah.
Damn.
Also want to note on this like topic. So this study attacks or tries to like basically describe what hitters are doing in the preparatory phase, which is just basically anything before the pitcher releases the ball. And I'm really interested in that because I think that with limitations in vision or us being able to process information quick enough to make a conscious decision in hitting and all of that, I think that a lot of the information that hitters actually end up using, I feel like has to happen from the pitcher's movement from before the ball is released. So a lot of my interest with this gaze tracking is kind of aimed towards that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty convinced that there is a saccade movement, and I'm pretty convinced that they try to predict the hand position instead of the elbow position for ball release. So this is an interesting piece because it provides some of that evidence, but I also think that it can this paper can even support the use of a saccade in the end. So yeah.
How many references do you have in your paper, Lindley?
The blog only has about 5. It's this one that kind of refutes the limitation of saccadic suppression, which is just the idea that we can't really see as well. Our visual sensitivity is worse during a saccade, which is proven to be true. But I think there's caveats to that, and then a couple other ones.
Are
you guys got anything else?
No, I mean, what do you think? I guess like, what's your take on applicability? Because my biggest thing is the novice versus expert kind of thing.
Yeah, most of my takeaways from this study just focus on the expert stuff. The differences between expert and novice aren't super, obviously don't seem super valid. So the last study that I did compared the farm and big league hitters in Japan, and they still found differences. So that's pretty interesting, and I think those type of studies could be really, really valuable if there is in fact a big difference between levels of play even that close together, minor leagues and big leagues. So I don't think this can really speak to that.
It would have been pretty tight almost if we had like a combination of the studies, like the 3 levels of play and then like the methods from both almost combined together. That would have been, hey, listen, man, there's still space on the moon. There's still space on the moon.
So and this study does it with a video camera, which is obvious, or with a video of a pitcher rather than a live pitcher. So and they're obviously not swinging because there's not an actual ball. So there's limitations there. They have more subjects that are harder to get with these live studies.
Right.
Because the live studies are a little bit harder to actually conduct. But if we were to, I would really like to see a study, and hopefully we can put something out here within the next few months or a couple of years, a good study in a live setting with a good enough sample size that we can take away some concrete results. Because even the last one that I discussed was only 3 of each level, and that's just like, that can't be enough. Pretty exciting. Hopefully we can improve on this type of stuff with what we got.
Agreed. One last point to end on, though, because I just remembered I was thinking of this morning. While engaged in 3 young guys in their mid-20s like to do, thinking of cutting my hair and bleaching it blonde, because I know Eric Jager's been a big fan of that, and I told him months ago that I would consider it.
Wow.
Was contemplating doing it on my birthday or right before. What do you guys got?
27 is blonde year.
Define cutting your hair.
And dude, like short,
go
like
straight Eminem.
Like
yeah,
your college cut?
Eminem.
Wow.
Eminem. What's up?
Like your college, like short on the sides, a little bit longer on top.
I mean, I guess I gave some style like that.
Yeah.
But
If you're gonna
Brady,
do that,
we
then
have-
you
we
just
have
gotta go like
clippers?
frosted tips.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
we
just
have-
gonna do it yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, dude, what are you talking about, bro? It's quarantine,
Yeah.
dude. I haven't paid for a haircut in a decade. You think I'm gonna start paying for a haircut during quarantine, dog?
That's part of
Are
your...
you serious? Yeah, Brady, do we have clippers? Because
I
I'm about to go to
mean,
Safeway right
you
now.
got your
and buy some
brother's
clippers.
ones that he always uses.
I think he's skeptical on those. Working on. I mean, dude. Yeah, but I mean, I'm totally fine with
Yeah.
trash. What's
What's wrong? What's wrong if it gets
Wow,
butchered?
Man, that
Yeah.
is some long locks. I can't believe you're just about to cut it.
Okay. Oh, all right. Find out the answer to that question on the next episode.
Or give me feedback.
The R&D
Listen, I love my
podcast.
podcast fans. Give me if you guys want to see this beautiful mane. Look at this thing.
Yeah, you guys will have 1 or 2 days to vote and tell Caravan to
Send in if your Blast CSV.
cut it off or not.
Yeah, even if we get to 50, if you send your Blast CSV in with a recommendation for hair, you'll still run it.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it with that right there.
I can't even see the leave meeting sign.
Jeez.